So we've got an interesting new phenomenon, free speech. And the left is hating it. Now, it shouldn't be new. It's not new. It's actually our first and most sacred constitutional right. But for some reason, censorship has gone unnoticed for the last 4 years in favor of this woke movement. And now I think it's quite evidently clear that this woke movement only succeeded because they had immense backing from the government in the censorship platforms that were censoring any kind of argument against their, frankly, ridiculous arguments. And now, whether they like it or not, a man like Joe Rogan, a comedian, a UFC personality, has a bigger following than MSNBC. And turning down the interview with Joe Rogan was probably Harris's biggest mistake. Why did she turn down that interview, you might ask? Great question. Didn't have enough time. That was the first excuse. But then we talked to Joe himself, and he says a couple of things. He says, well, they wanted to put an hour time limit on it. I do 3-hour, 2-hour podcasts. He said they wanted editorial control. He doesn't edit anything. All his podcasts are raw and real. That's kind of the point of them. And of course, there were certain topics that were off limits, like her marijuana conviction rate when she was a prosecutor. She's responsible for putting, I think it's like 1,900 people in jail for marijuana charges. And it would have been very easy for her to go on there and say, you know what? At the time I was a prosecutor, that was the law, that was my job to do that. I did my job. I have now since changed my position. I've grown. Here's why I've grown. My job was to uphold the law at that time. Now I'm running for a position where my job will be to change the law, and I will do that. I upheld the law at that time. I will change the law at this time. I think that would have been a great argument, and honestly, somebody like me would have looked at that, and I would have respected her so much more for any of the other scripted bullshit that she's spewing, because that was real. It's like, oh, she's human. Okay, so she can do something other than read off of a teleprompter and memorize lines. Like, okay, so she had a position before, now she's changed it, maybe she smokes a little bit now. There was an interview that alluded to that where she was cackling at somebody asking her if she smoked marijuana. And it's like, of course, who doesn't? So I think we all need to do a little bit of introspection here. But especially those who believe that the left should have won. If they did, censorship would have won. You do realize that. The Twitter files have come out. This is not a matter of conjecture anymore. It's not a matter of argument or debate. This is a fact. These facts have come out. Go look them up and research it for yourself. Twitter and the government were working together to censor certain narratives, like RFK, for instance. Now, and I'm not talking about Trump. Forget Trump for a second. Forget about Trump. It's not about Trump. RFK. He's talking about healthcare. He's talking about something that is good for everybody. Lifelong Democrat, by the way. For some reason, he was censored. And I just watched his Senate hearing, which is, they're very dry, boring. It's like, they're difficult to watch, but you know what? Those are the things that we need to watch if you want to be an informed American. I urge you to go watch it. They just put him on the stand for comments he made about the vaccine and the book he wrote and comments he made in the book. They took everything out of context and, of course, put a different spin on it. And what he says, though his voice is very raspy and you can make fun of that and say what you want about it, I don't think he's wrong. I think that we are facing a health crisis in this country, both mental and physical. So do yourself a favor, do the rest of America a favor, do your family a favor, do everybody a favor. Get out of your emotions for a moment, just a moment, and go onto YouTube, but don't log in. Don't use your algorithm. The fresh YouTube page, when you don't log in under your name, it gives you literally everything. There's all types of it. It will look stunning to you because the algorithm is so slick. It just propagates whatever it is that you like, whatever it is that you want to see. It seems like it even knows the things you dislike because it doesn't show you that stuff. Maybe the videos you don't spend much time on or even hit the dislike button on. It's not a good thing. You know what? The program you watch where you're fuming like, oh, this stupid idiot on TV, I hate everything that they're saying and I disagree with it. That was probably the most growth you had all day. That's the best thing to watch. I watched Joy Reid, the most racist, hypocritical, homophobic person on TV, supposed to be the poster child for wokeism and liberalism. And the more you watch, the more you learn, the more you see. If you can read people, you can tell when they're not being authentic. And that's the one thing that the left doesn't have is authenticity. If anything, it's not racism, it's not misogyny, it's not anything else. If you want to boil it down to one basic human trait and lump everybody into one standard, it's that simple. The Republican Party met the American people where they are. They related to us. They're very relatable. Trump went and sat for 2 hours and had an unscripted interview with Rogan that was uncut. And he probably said some things in there. In fact, I know he said some things in there because I watched it that people are really not going to like, that I didn't like, that I was like, what the fuck? But you know what? It was real. It was unscripted. Would you rather have them take that out than you not know that bit of information? And maybe that's the problem. Like, Bill Clinton was a media master. Media master. We all know what his integrity was like with his, shall we say, extracurricular activities in the Oval Office with Miss Monica Lewinsky. I did not have sex with that woman. I did not have relations with that woman. He said, not sex, because he was media genius. Never used the word sex. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. And I remember my mother yelling at the TV, he's lying, he's lying, he's lying, liar. It's like, you knew that. Even a guy like Bill Clinton back then couldn't do it. Today, I don't even think Bill Clinton would be elected. I don't think he'd be able to survive this new culture. Whether you like it or not, Rogan has influence over more Americans than NBC does. You have to accept this as fact. I urge you to research it. I have done this already, so I'm helping you out by telling you. That's the fact. And if you'd like some other starting points, Dave Rubin is he's a right-leaner for sure. If you want a left-leaner, go for Tom Bilyeu. He's fantastic. Both have excellent shows. One's in California, one's in Florida. I'm sure you can guess which is which. And you know what, Tom Bilyeu interviewed Dave Rubin on his show, invited him to the show, said, come on my show, let's talk about these issues. And I wish that podcast, it got millions of views, but it needs millions more, because that's the discussion Americans need to be having. Americans need to be having discussions, not hating each other and spewing all this hate online. Talk to one another. I like the fact that I'm an Uber driver and I can dictate, not necessarily dictate, but I can kind of read when people want to talk, and then when they do, it's really interesting to hear what they have to say. Because we really are. We all care about the same things. We're all basically good. I mean, it's very rare that I meet a total piece of shit human being. We are all fundamentally, and that capacity for goodness, it's in all of us for sure. I see it in everybody, even people I completely disagree with. You know, different political views does not mean that one side is evil, the other side, it's just, that's not the case. It may be the case if you're bringing religion into the conversation and you have a very strong view on certain issues. I understand that. I'm not making a blanket statement here. Everybody is different, but I think everybody does have that capacity for inherent good in them. And we used to see that in each other. We used to find that in each other. And that was kind of the job of the politicians, was to bring people together and let them talk across the aisle about this stuff. Now, again, leaving January 6th out because now it's come out with the Twitter files that Trump, in fact, did try to quell this whole thing, and he did not want people to be hurt, did not want a riot to happen, nor did anybody else. Nobody wants to see that kind of thing. And after that, Trump left the White House, Biden took the office, and he's been president for the last 4 years. There was no coup. There was nothing. It didn't happen. And it won't happen. That is what we need. We need peace. We need what Biden's doing right now, conceding. All right, you won. The American people have spoken very, very loudly about this. Free speech is winning out. Trump's removing all these bans, all these different, censorship bans and this, that, and the other. You can say whatever you want. You can be whoever you want. You can do whatever you want. Why is this a bad thing? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think, period. I'm always willing to have a discussion. I love discussion. But if all you can think of is insults, then please just stay off. Have a great day. I love y'all.